and get started. So my name is Dana Bristol-Smith. I'm the Executive Director of Leap to Success. We are a women's empowerment organization based in Carlsbad, California. And our mission is to empower women who are overcoming domestic violence, homelessness, and other major challenges. And we do that through a series of workshops. What we have done right now is we have taken all of our workshops online. And this is the very first time that we are offering a workshop open and free to the public. So we're so glad that you're here with us for self-care in stressful times. I'm going to introduce my little co-pilot here. This is Yogi, who has been sitting on my lap. And he is just about the sweetest, the sweetest thing ever. But I'm going to go ahead and set him down because it's a little much to manage right now. I'm going to go ahead and introduce and let you know who's with us on this Zoom call today. We have Kelley Grimes, who is our Leap to Success Director of Community Engagement. Kelley, why don't you just say hello and I'll finish the introductions.
Hi, everyone. So thrilled that you're joining us. No more important time to really deeply care and nurture for ourselves than now. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Kelley. Thank you, Kelley. And I'm going to introduce Alyssa Jenkins. Alyssa is providing technical support. And we're so glad that we've got her helping out. She's our administrative assistant, but wears many hats. So Alyssa, why don't you say hi to everybody?
Hi, I'm Alyssa. Really excited today. We are in for a good self-care stress management treat. So very happy to have you.
Thank you, Alyssa. Thank you. So the purpose today and every week, so I hope that you'll join us every Tuesday at noon. We are recording this Zoom call, so we'd be happy to send you an email link afterwards. You can email me directly. Actually, email Alyssa at leaptosuccess.org. She'll put her email in the chat area if you'd like a link for this, and you can share it with team members that you have, with friends, with family, with other loved ones. So we know that many of you with us today are providing frontline support for people in distress. Your case managers, your counselors, and at this moment in time, people are in distress, and people who normally wouldn't be carrying around a whole lot of stress or anxiety are feeling it now. And so that's why we're bringing this class to you called Self-Care in Stressful Times. We're going to be sharing a really powerful technique that you can use on a daily basis to bring your own levels of stress and anxiety down so that you can be there for others, so that you can be present and you can feel better as you navigate through the challenges and uncertainty that we are all feeling right now in this, what's called a global pandemic. So with that, I'm just going to take a deep breath. Invite you to do the same. I've been noticing that I've been holding my breaths lately. But what I'm going to go ahead and do right now is I'm going to turn this over to Kelley, and she's going to walk us through a very powerful technique and ask you some questions along the way. So I want to let you know to use your chat, go ahead and type things in, and you'll see a poll coming up on your screen in just a couple of minutes, and go ahead and participate in the poll as well, because we want to know how you're doing during this time, and we want to be there to provide support and tools and ways to manage the stress. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Kelley right now.
Thank you, Dana, so much. So I love that we are sharing the arrival technique. This is the technique that we're going to take you through. I love that we're doing that because that's a really important part of what we teach in our first week of Leap to Confidence. We know that to be empowered on this planet, we can't get knocked over every time something stressful happens. And when you're in a situation like this, where it's like every day something's unfolding anew, having ways to center and ground ourselves and come back home to ourselves is the kindest thing we can do for ourselves and for others. So speaking of this stressful time, I want you to tune into how you're feeling in this moment. And we're going to have a poll up that's going to give you a scale from 1 to 5, 1 being low, you're not feeling a lot of stress, 5 being very high. If you could rate yourself right now on the stress that you're experiencing, please do. If you are on our Facebook and you don't see the poll, just go ahead and write it if you're interested in the comments on Facebook. If you're at home and you're listening to this after, write it down for yourself. It's always good to get a really clear sense of where we are before we do a technique or practice, and then assess ourselves after so we know how effective that it was for us. So it looks to me like we have folks, a majority of folks in about a 3, so relatively stressed. Some people at a 4, feeling more stress, and 1 person that's feeling a lot of stress. So what I want you to know is you are not alone. We are finding that in every one of our calls and our Zoom calls and interactions that we're having, that people are stressed right now. And so we know, again, that there's no better time to learn different meditative techniques and other things. You know, a lot of the time we think, oh, that's something that I want to learn, but our schedules have been too full maybe to start integrating it. Well, we have a gift of having a little bit more time and space in our day. So if you've always wanted to meditate, here's a tool for you. If you've been meditating, here's another tool to add to your tool chest. So I'm going to take you through this practice now that we have a sense of where we're at. I'm going to invite you to kind of settle in, have your feet on the ground. And if you can, I'm going to actually close my eyes as I take you through this. I'm going to invite you to close your eyes. And in a spirit of curiosity and non-judgment, because that's what we're bringing to ourselves in this moment, we're just going to simply notice. Notice how it feels to be sitting where you are. Notice how it feels to breathe in and out. Notice where your palms are resting. You might even notice what sounds you hear around you, what the temperature is around you. You're just simply bringing curiosity to notice what is happening in this moment for you. I'm going to invite you to take 3 deep body breaths in and out, noticing how it feels to fill up your lungs and how it feels to exhale all the breath. Now I invite you to bring awareness to your body. Notice if there's any place that you're holding any tension or tightness. Notice if there's anywhere you have any pain or discomfort. And notice if there's any place in your body that you do not have any sensation at all. On your next exhale, you're going to release awareness of your body and come back to your breath. Your best friend, your constant companion, that gift that you have, that tool that you can use at any moment to come back to the here and now. I invite you to take 2 full deep body breaths in and out. Now I invite you to be a curious observer of your thoughts. See if you can name a theme that you see in your thinking right now. Maybe it's an anxious thought, maybe it's a planning thought, perhaps you're having a judging thought. All you need to do is witness it, not chase after it, just observe with non-judgment. What is the content of my thoughts in this moment? And on your next exhale, release awareness of your thoughts and come back to your breath again. Brain research has shown that when we take 10 intentional breaths in and out, it changes our neural pathways. It grounds us and connects us to our bodies. Our breath is a tool that we can return to over and over again throughout the day. Now I invite you to place your hand on your heart and acknowledge something that you're grateful for about yourself in this moment. And on our last few breaths together, I invite you in your mind to say as you breathe in, I breathe into this moment, and as you exhale, I have arrived. I breathe into this moment, I have arrived. I love this very short technique because it provides us 4 techniques in one. It helps remind us to connect to our breath and really deepen our breath. So much of the time when we're stressed, we're taking little tiny breaths in and out. And so it just invites us into more expansiveness, more spaciousness in our breathing, and reminds us that that is really our best companion in these times. No matter who is with us on our journey, we're never alone because we have ourselves and our own breath. So really returning to that over and over again. The next thing that it does is it allows us to connect with our bodies. Our bodies have so much to teach us. And I'm wondering, actually, for everyone in this moment, if you could tune into where you noticed that there was stress in your body. If you are on our Facebook stream, you can write that in the comments, in the comment section of our Zoom call. You write down, where did you notice? Where was the stress showing up for you in your body? If you would share that now, then I would be happy to share that with others so that we know. It looks like for some in their back, you know, really feeling it in their back, and their shoulders and neck is another area that we do. And a lot of tightness. Some of us might have clench our jaws and find that over time that ends up giving us headaches. I know for a lot of people, they have stomach issues. There might be nausea or tightness in their stomach. Sometimes we have it in multiple areas of our bodies. So all of that is a really good indicator to us, if we pay attention to those places, that we have an opportunity to soften around that. So I invite you just to take a deep breath and allow your shoulders to soften a bit. And I'm wondering, now that you've done this arrival technique, if you would reflect back on your stress and how much stress you're experiencing. There's going to be another poll that's up. So on a scale from 1 to 5 again, so 1 being low and 5 being high, rate the level of stress that you're experiencing now. Again, you can write that in the comment section of Facebook, or you can just simply write it down for yourself so that you have a sense of whether there's been an impact in choosing to do this mindfulness practice of the arrival technique. So it looks like that we have movement away. The person that was feeling deeply stressed is maybe feeling a little less stressed. We have folks that have moved, everybody it looks like has moved more, and we have a couple that are just feeling on the low end of being stressed now. So that was only, I want to say, maybe a 5-minute exercise. So you can see that with any of these exercises, if you get some movement, you can just continue to use them throughout the day. And in that way, you'll continue to lower and lower your stress. So I said the first two, right? We connect with our breath, we connect with our bodies. The third thing that's really important is to observe our thoughts. What's really important about observing our thoughts is that we can see what thoughts we want to feed and what thoughts we don't. We can feed a lot of anxious and fearful thoughts, which can increase our anxiety and our stress. Instead, we can notice them coming and we can think of what would be a nurturing activity that I could do in this moment to care for myself. So if I'm noticing I'm having a lot of anxious thoughts, I could think, oh, okay, maybe I could take a walk. Maybe I could do the arrival technique. You just have so many more options when you notice. Now, if I only notice my thoughts when I'm in a really heightened state, it's going to be difficult for me to negotiate that. But if I use this practice and I'm noticing myself throughout the day, I can notice when I have a shift in my thinking. I can notice when I start to go into a lot of anxious thinking, and I can short circuit it much more quickly when I observe my thoughts. I think what's helpful about observing our thoughts too is it reminds us we aren't our thoughts, right? Our thoughts are things that come and go, just like our emotions, just like the clouds in the sky or the weather. They come and they go. And so when we observe them with curiosity and non-judgment, we start to be able to see that we are not what we think and that we can choose what we want to feed in our lives. The last practice that's embodied in the arrival technique is this practice of gratitude. I love the idea that we were all placing our hands on our heart in that moment and acknowledging something we're grateful for about ourselves. Now, certainly gratitude practice can expand and it can be about your whole life, but I do believe it's incredibly important during these uncertain times to remind us of what we're grateful for about ourselves. We have all the strength, the courage, the resilience to get through this. When we know that we have confidence in our own capabilities, we aren't as fearful. We're able to stay grounded and present in the moment. And we're able to use our tools, right? That's so important. When we're in a place of stress, sometimes we forget we have tools. So every time we take an opportunity to nurture and care for ourselves, we could demonstrate gratitude to ourselves just in that moment. Like, I am so grateful I remembered a tool and I'm doing something to ground myself. Just as Dana said, we have a lot of influence on people in our lives, whether it's our clients, our family, whoever we're interacting with in all these virtual contexts of Zoom calls and other things. The more calm that you bring to anything that you do, the more positive impact that you can have in the world. And we know how incredibly important that is in times of uncertainty, that we can be the helpers and move out of the hopelessness. And so I want to invite us to continue this. Use the times between in the week to practice what we've taught here. We always invite our Leap to Confidence participants practice, because if we don't practice, it isn't as meaningful. We want to know. We want to know on our Facebook page. We want to know in other places, how have these practices been impacting you? Because the more that we know, the more that we can support each other in it and teach other people. I always think that I teach what I teach and am passionate about because I most need it, right? So the more that you teach these practices to other people, the more calm, the more present, and the more grounded that everyone will be. So I thank you so much for being part of this. And I want to hand it off to Dana now.
Thank you, Kelley. Thank you. Well, I know that my stress level has gone down some just going through the arrival technique, and I hope that yours have too. And we actually saw it on the poll, so that was beautiful. You know, I'm wondering, before we go into our final segment here, Kelley, you mentioned tools that people are using. And Alyssa, would you put that question out in our chat? What tools are you using right now to manage stress? I want to know from everybody who's on this call, what tools you're using, what is being helpful, because this at Leap to Success, we're a community of support. And we know that we've got some amazing practitioners on the call, people that are the helpers in our community. So what are you using right now that's helping you manage the stress? What are you using for yourself? What are you noticing that others are using that's helpful? And go ahead and write those in on our chat so we can share them. Okay. Well, we'll wait. We'll see if those, some more of those come in. But I know that the idea of being able to help others right now is so critically important for us. Being able to take the time that we need. I see people writing now meditation, breathing practices, exercises, going for a walk, drinking a cup of warm tea, doing practical things, preparing. Oh, and I love this one, sitting outside in the sun. So I hope that we're all taking that at least 15 minutes a day to be outside and to see that what we're experiencing right now, not even though we have to physically distance ourselves, we don't have to isolate ourselves. We can be together in new ways, whether that's calling a friend, whether that's FaceTiming. I've been FaceTiming with my mom. It's just been really fun. And oh, I see all kinds of wonderful suggestions that are happening here. So if you're on Zoom, you're seeing them, tapping, meditation, walking in nature, playing games, intentional breathing. And I love this, taking the action that I can. And pet your animals, your cats, your dogs, and your fellow humans. That you can. So thank you all for those great tools and activities that you're doing to manage stress during this time. As we're in our final minutes here, and we've had a theme today, excuse me, of really developing mindfulness, becoming aware of our thoughts, becoming aware of what's going on in our body. And it's only through awareness that we can really pause and act versus reacting to the situations around us. So I want to share with you a story from a Buddhist teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh, that you might have, I'm sure you've heard of him. You might have heard of him. He's a Zen master. And he says, when the crowded Vietnamese refugee boats met with storms or pirates, if everyone panicked, all would be lost. But if even just one person on the boat remained calm and centered, it was enough. It showed the way for everyone to survive. We each have the power of choice, and we can be that person. We can be that person who's calm through the storm, and we are experiencing a storm right now. And it's something that we have not experienced before here. In our country. So we're all having to adapt and be flexible and make choices that benefit ourselves and benefit our families and our communities. So let's choose to be that calm person and do what it takes. Take the time to feel our emotions, let them flow through us like water. They will always flow. Even if it thinks they're gonna, even if it feels like they're gonna last for a very long time, they always flow. And if you need a reminder of that, stand outside and look at the clouds and watch them move by and think about emotions in the same way, particularly hard emotions, tough emotions, scary emotions. Let them flow away like the clouds do. I recently heard, and I actually read this in Oprah magazine, that the opposite of hopelessness is helpfulness. So if you're feeling hopeless, you're feeling despair, see how you can reach out and be helpful to others in our community. We heard beautiful stories from our graduates yesterday of people showing up and bringing food for people who are experiencing homelessness. Someone that made 300 sandwiches and brought them out. There's just beautiful acts of kindness that are happening right now in our community. And that's going to be our focus for next week's managing self-care during stressful times, is we're going to be talking about the acts of kindness that are happening in our community. And we would love for you to share those with us. Send them to Alyssa@leaptosuccess.org via email. Feel free to put anything in the chat area here, but this can be a time where there are hidden blessings. We're already seeing it with people being kinder. We're also seeing people, dealing with anger and fear and not being kind, but it really is up to each one of us to be that helper in our communities. And that's what we're doing here at Leap to Success. We close every one of our classes in something called a circle of support. And that's how I'd like to close this Zoom session with you today. So I'm reaching out my hands and I invite you to do the same. And just know that we're all here together and we can provide support and we can provide safety and we'll all be okay through this. And what I know is that you have what it takes. So come be part of this community, share this with your friends, share it with coworkers. We'll send out the link to anybody who emails. Be part of our Facebook community and let your voice be heard now. It's the time for all of us to really rise up and do what we can to help ourselves, to be leaders in our lives and our communities. So thank you for being part of this. Thank you, Kelley, for sharing what you did. Thank you, Alyssa, for providing your technical support. And my friends, have a good week. We'll see you again next Tuesday. Bye-bye.